Well, what would Willie, Mickey, and the Duke have to say about this one? I'm Alex Garrett, and always good to be with you here on Alex Garrett Podcasting. And yeah, I'm wearing my Yankee stuff tonight because I'm getting tired of. I'm really getting tired of hearing that more deadlines are going to happen for Major League Baseball. The league feels that tomorrow should be a deadline again because they may not get 162 in. I want to approach this from a couple of things because 2 years ago, the world basically was starting to shut down, and Major League Baseball spring training was pretty much halted by this point or a little bit after. 2 years later, we're dealing with the repercussions of what happened that summer of 2020. I'll tell you what I mean in a minute, but I want to get you a bit of an audio clip, which you might find interesting, from my friends at the Diamond Duo podcast, my buddy, colleague Tom Bauer. There we go. This response by and put together by Tom Bauer and aired on the Diamond Duo podcast, which you can see right there. This response by Rob Manfred just a week ago when they announced that they were going to shut down baseball, not postpone, but cancel with the hopes of making up opening day and the first, I believe, two series. I want you to listen to this response from Rob Manfred way back when Tom went and found the audio, and then just last week as the announcements were coming down.
On March 31st. I am an optimist, and I believe we will have an agreement in time to play our regular schedule. I see missing games as a disastrous outcome for this industry, and we're committed to making an agreement in an effort to avoid that. I had hoped against hope that I would not have to have this particular press conference in which I am going to cancel some regular season games. So far, the parties have failed to achieve their mutual goal of reaching an agreement. The unfortunate thing, maybe the most unfortunate thing, is that agreement, the one we've offered to our players, offers huge benefits for our fans and for our players. Really gonna miss it. There's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos. It will be a home run, and so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Of course, that's Tom Brenneman and his whole scandal with the way he used the gay slur as he's calling a game, saying he may not be off there anymore. Brilliant work by Tom Bauer there to get the essence of Rob Manfred's press conference, in which he, I'm not kidding you, in which he, I still can't believe this, in which he laughed at the media, at the fan base, about missing games. This is going to be tough on not only baseball hardcore fans, but if this goes on the summer, this will be a disaster. Because look, when the 04-05 lockout happened with the NHL, okay, and I've seen a lot of comparisons to this because we haven't had a hardcore lockout like this. But when it happened, I feel that really hardcore NHL fans felt it. I felt it because I'm a hockey fan, as I'm a giant jack of a ham, I know. But for the average fan, did they actually feel it? For the average person walking their day-to-day life that was probably focused on NCAA March Madness, that was probably focused on college ball, NBA, and life in 04-05, did they really worry about the lockout? Because NHL, and I'm sorry to diss the sport, I love the sport, but it is buried in the winter until we're ready to see the Rangers really win the top of the conference, which could happen this year. I've got a feeling. But unless you were a hardcore fan, you didn't feel that specific lockout, I feel. But this, baseball is from April to October. Baseball is a thing everybody does in the summer, even if you're not a total sports fan. You go to baseball games for fun. Now, the league is taking that away from us, and I do not blame the players here. You may say, well, these guys are greedy, these guys are this, these guys are that. They make so much money to play ball, and this wise thought it was just the love of the game, not the money of the game. But here is not the players' fault. Here is a league, again, forcing its players to do what they want them to do. Why do I say again? Because in 2020, we don't have to look back to 94 when that strike happened. Let's look at 2020. If I'm not mistaken, they wanted players in a pandemic that was raging at the time, to play 90 games. 90 games with I don't know if they were going to do a lot of testing or whatnot. It was going to be very lax protocol. If I'm not mistaken, or, Alex at alexnyc.com, if I'm losing my memory on that. But I felt that the protocols were going to be very, very light. Lack of testing. Lack of social distancing in the locker room. All these different elements that led players to say, no, we're not playing in these conditions. They did reach a 60-game season, a fanless 60-game season and for the record, Dodger fans, and I know I was in LA last year, but they were so hyped to have won the 2020 championship. But in my lifetime, and those born after 89, there's not been a Dodger team to win the World Series in a 162-game season as of yet in our generation's lifetime. The 90s kids. So come to me when you win 162 games. Come to me when Clayton Kershaw actually does well all season long and then postseason. Amazingly, Cody Bellinger turned it on for them last year to maybe give them a chance, give them hope after beating the Giants. But after that, the Braves had their number, man. And who knows where Freddie Freeman goes after this lockout, by the way. But if you were following in 2020 what was going on, then you know damn well that was the precipice of what's happening right now. We are now in jeopardy of losing a full 162 game season. On the face of it, okay, I wouldn't mind them starting in April, in Memorial Day weekend. Because let's be honest, the April and May slog that is the cold start to the season, the empty suite seats, the empty seats behind the plate, it looks awful. So starting in May when it's warmer, that's fine. But the core of losing 162 games is going to mean this game is continuing to be in disrepair. And I do blame Rob Manfred here. I do blame the ownership, who will be getting TV money regardless. Cranes extra. Major League Baseball teams will get paid by the national TV networks, even if zero baseball is played this year. You heard me right. Baseball Prospectus is reporting each team gets paid $60 million annually from Warner Media's Turner Sports and Walt Disney's ESPN. Each team gets this money. without even a pitch being thrown. Are you kidding me? $60 million, $120 million combined to each team, 32 teams, and you're telling me that player safety is worth, is worth sacrificing for the extra money. Now, here was the thing about 2020. Both parties, like now, stood to lose money. The owners were going to lose money regardless of a non-162 game season. The players, because they weren't playing, were going to lose money because they weren't playing. But with this revelation, finding out that each team gets $60 million from both networks each, that's $120 million for each team without a pitch being thrown. Baseball Prospectus, Crane's Extra, amazing research on that. Amazing research. And I really hoped Hal would step in here and fix things. And if you're a Met fan, I'm sorry, but Max Scherzer's big splash in New York will have to wait. But that's not his fault. That's not his fault. Tony Clark is a good rep. I believe that. He's also a good man, a good person. He's dealing in good faith. The league and Manfred seemed to at one point be drum beating, though he says he wanted to play, but he was drum beating the lockout, was he not? Well, here we are. It's March 7th, 2022. We are supposed to be watching spring training, but we're not. And that is no fault of the players. Yeah, you can complain and rile about how they make so much millions of dollars just in a baseball. But they've also been treated like, I hate to say zoo animals, but like that ilk. To make things better for the people. Oh, we need baseball to get everybody's mind off of it. Well, these people are players too. And I had said in 2020 for them to do what they did as players, to get ready, to do a 60-game season, to play in a pandemic, that, fans should not be throwing baseballs or anything from the stands, beer bottles, anything at these guys. We should be appreciating them. Of course, that didn't last because some a-hole in left field threw a ball at Andrew Verdugo of the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. We, Yankee Nation, disavowed that. Enough of that. We're better than that in New York. But come on. Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, what are you doing? Why can't you meet in the middle with these players? For the good of their health, for the good of their safety, for the good of their families. And why can't the draft picks, why can't the minor leaguers get compensated better? Why do they have to sleep in their cars? What is that about? Major League Baseball. What? We tout the prospects, we tout the draft, and then all of a sudden, you treat them like crap when they're in the minor leagues. That's a long-standing thing, but minor leaguers are not going to take it. They're not going to stand silent. They're going to write about how they're sleeping in their cars. They're going to write about how they're being treated in the minor leagues. They're going to write how you're cost-cutting, apparently, by cutting some teams, are affecting them. And now you're saying, as a league, these prospects shouldn't be treated better? That's another crux of this whole thing, I believe. But to now have a deadline tomorrow and say, well, in short, we're going to watch blank faces, blank rosters on Major League Baseball sites right now. We're going to watch the college baseball scene blow up. You want to watch that journey to Omaha? Will be unbelievable if regular baseball, since regular baseball is not on right now. That road to Omaha will be exciting, electric. And don't sleep on independent ball either. Don't sleep on the independent baseball leagues. The Atlantic League, the Ducks, the new Staten Island Fairhawks. Don't sleep on them. Kobe Clemens is coming to Staten Island. Are you kidding me? Roger Clemens' son? Don't sleep on that either. New York City, Staten Island, Clemens fans, which I think there are so many. And so you've got so much going on. But the NHL lockout will not be as impactful as this lockout will be. Because fans and non-fans, but people that just like to go to games, will be affected by this. And maybe baseball will see a boycott of the fact that we're sick and tired of what Manfred's doing in this league. Maybe, just maybe, that'll happen. But until then, I might wear my Giant stuff because that's the only sport that's, the Rangers, and I got my Ranger jerseys and whatnot. But NFL, that one, amazingly, with the hiring of Brian DeBole, has some hope here. So I'll wear them a little longer until these guys are able to come back and bring us a great show in the show 2022 edition. Oh man, Major League Baseball, get your act together. Get your act together. Or you will lose a fan base that loves you and is loyal to you. 162 games plus the postseason. But this is not the player's fault. This is not the player's fault. Just like, well, never mind, I won't go there. This is not the player's fault. I don't believe it is, and I hope you don't believe it is either. This is Manfred's greediness being on display. And the fact that the owners are making money without a pitch being thrown should be highlighted. Thank you, Baseball Prospectus. That is crazy. We'll keep you updated tomorrow. Looks like they might have hope, but if not, it's not a 162 game season. We'll have to go from there. But I miss baseball already, especially as it's nice and warm out, to be honest with you. Until then, I'm Alex Garrett. Adapt to each other. Major League Baseball and MLB Players Association. Adapt. Get something done for the good of this country, the good of your baseball fans, and the good of the players. And yes, the owners, but the good of the players who work their asses off for you every night.